Crypto holders, you are being lied to about this crash. And today we are going to talk about it here on the second channel, here on the live stream. Look, today we're going to be covering a lot. We're going to start off just talking about what's going on in the market. We're going to take a look at some metrics. We're going to go over some news, see what's happening in the broad market. And then I'm going to go into towards, 10, 15 minutes from now, talking about why you are being lied to, not only just by other influencers, not only just by Twitter, but people who have notable names in the world of crypto. They are lying. They're lying, and it's blatant that they are lying, but they just want the clicks and the views, and we're going to talk about it today so you're not misled down the wrong road. And so what we're going to do now, I'm going to double check, make sure that the sound looks good, or sounds good, the audio looks good, and then we're going to get started. So give me 1 second. Beautiful. Audio's good. There we go. Cool. All righty. Let's talk about it, people. Welcome. Good morning. Happy Monday morning. And again, today we're going to be taking a look and talking about why you are being lied to. Now, as I mentioned before we get into that, right, let's kind of cook, let's build some context up a little bit. Let's talk about what is happening in the broad market because it is actually pretty ugly. Okay. So let's just start off on trading view, do a little TA, not real TA, but just kind of looking at what's happening here in the broad market, because again, it is not fun. We are currently sitting at $1.74 trillion on the total market cap, which is insane considering the fact that we were literally at 2.7 trillion just, not that long ago. $1 trillion wiped out from the market of crypto. And when you consider the fact that there's only 2.7 of them, that's a huge fall, guys. That's scary. That's scary. And you have every right to be scared. You have every right to be worried. That's a huge drop. But it does not mean you should be, first of all, lied to. But second of all, making irrational decisions right now. What we can see here is that the total market cap has now pulled back and seems to be coming back to retest some of these previous levels, seemingly going back to retest this little liquidity zone between 1.4 trillion and 1.7 trillion. So it does seem as if we are going to find some type of support, it would likely happen around this area, but obviously only time will tell. Now, going down and kind of zooming this down into total 2, you can see here that the altcoin market is taking even worse of a beating. Okay, it is quite clear that Bitcoin is outperforming for the most part this market because obviously many of our altcoins are doing much worse. But it's crazy because even Bitcoin is down 13%, but then you look at some of your other ones, right? You got your Jasmys, your Litecoins, and your AVAXs and ETHs all down 15 to 25%. And so although it does suck a little bit, it is good to see, in my opinion, that Bitcoin is still performing well because Bitcoin is the rock of the crypto world. If Bitcoin's dropping 30%, that's just not a good sign. Or within the span of one day, like we're seeing from some of our altcoins, that's just not good. Simple as that. It's quite simply not good. So seeing Bitcoin being able to sustain a little bit better than the rest is definitely a good thing, in my opinion. Kind of looking at Bitcoin dominance to get a feel for that as well. Bitcoin dominance has consistently been trending upwards. And if you don't know what Bitcoin dominance is quite simply just the total market cap owned by Bitcoin. So as, say, for example, if we have $100 million total market cap, and if Bitcoin's market cap is 50 million and the rest of the altcoins market cap is 50 million, Bitcoin dominance is at 50%. If Bitcoin's market cap goes up to 60 million and the rest go down to 40 million, then Bitcoin dominance is at 60%. So it's just a percentage ratio of the total market cap that is held by Bitcoin. And if this is going up, it means that Bitcoin is outperforming the alts. Because if the total market cap is falling, but Bitcoin dominance is going up, that means more of the market cap from total market cap is coming from altcoins than it is from Bitcoin. Okay. And so that just goes to show that Bitcoin is the safe place. If there is a safe place in the world of crypto right now, it's the place where, in my opinion, you should be doing the most dollar cost averaging if you are dollar cost averaging, quite simply because it's showing consistently at this given point that it is going to probably continue to outperform the rest of the market. Now, I think on CoinGlass, we do actually have an altcoin season index. Let me see. I'd be curious to see if we have that on here. I don't think I use it on here. I use it over on another website, but let me see if it's here. I'd be curious. Let me look it up real quick. Altcoin season index. It might be on CoinGlass. Let's see. Is it on Blockchain Center? I don't think this. Oh, this is the one I use. Yeah, on Blockchain Center. What you can see, we're at a score of 18, guys. Right? Like we're at a score of 18. That's almost as low as this thing has gone in a very long time. You don't typically see the Bitcoin index this low. It's not just a common occurrence. You can see only a couple times, a handful of times in the last 5 years that we've seen the Bitcoin season and the altcoin season index getting this low. And so because of that, obviously Bitcoin dominance trending upwards, Bitcoin outperforming the rest of the market. Bitcoin season obviously still massively in play. I definitely think Bitcoin is still the place in which you should be looking. Now, if that, and that's more if you want safety. If you want more risk, but possible high return, yeah, some of your altcoins right now are going to see the biggest losses, but when they rebound, they're going to rebound way higher. So if you can stomach those L's for now, probably going into some of your alts is a good idea. But if you need just a safe place to escape to right now, Bitcoin definitely seems to be that place. Now, looking individually at some of our alts, what we can see here is we obviously have Ethereum coming back and pulling back to some major previous point of resistance right now. We obviously knew that $2,220 to $2,175 was a major point of resistance. And when we broke above it, we never really came back down to back test it. And so it seems to me as if there's a chance at least that Ethereum does try to find some support rather soon and maybe try to continue back up towards this wedge. But obviously only time will tell. We're not going to do a lot of TA today. Looking at Jasmy, Jasmy is also currently still in this massive point of support. There were all these previous zones of liquidity, and it's trying its best to build some support here. And maybe there is a chance that we're going to see the threat of a head and shoulders pattern start printing on Jasmy here, and that would mean that its price might start to reverse soon. So that would be interesting to pay attention to. We also have Solana. Solana just lost the bottom side of this wedge. I told you all that this is very low probability. I told you all that typically, from what I have studied historically, this is only about 20% chance of happening, especially within a bull market. So it just goes to show just how bearish things are right now, at least in the short term. But I do still believe that Solana is going to find some support within this 618 to 786 zone, but that's pretty obvious because it can go as low as $69 before falling out of this zone. So that's kind of a wide range to kind of rely on. So yeah, Solana pulling out of this thing right now, but obviously it could retest and re-enter, or it could just retest sideways back breakout. That's always a possibility, but only time will tell. So currently speaking, I'm not going to continue too deeply into this because again, I don't like doing TA here on the channel too much. That's for the main channel, which you can check out down below. But what we can see is that the majority of these cryptos are now really starting to get their asses whipped. Like now we're losing major levels of support. Now we're really starting to pull back. And now things are seemingly getting more and more ugly, at which point people are now screaming, some crazy things that we're going to talk about in a second. Because remember, the title of this video is You're Being Lied To. And after we go over some metrics in a second here, I'm going to tell you why you're being lied to. You know what? No, I'm not even going to cliffhang you. Let's talk about why we're being lied to. Okay. Let's talk about how you're being lied to. Then I'm going to tell you about what I'm doing about it. I'm going to tell you about what I'm doing about it. Let's do that. So the lie you are being fed right now that is making your emotions way worse than they need be is quite simply just the fact that this has never happened before. People are saying this is unprecedented, that in a bull market, we have never seen crashes like this. I've seen it in my live streams. I've seen it on my comment sections. I've seen it on some of my favorite YouTube channels saying this has never happened before. This is unprecedented. This could be the end of the bull run. We've never seen this before in a bull run. The only time we've ever seen this is in a bear market or the start of a bear market, etc. And that is a blatant lie. And I have proof. And it's not crazy proof, right? I'm not like this isn't a groundbreaking news story, but I just have proof that this has happened before. We've seen something extremely similar to this that still led to one of the biggest bull markets we've ever seen. And when it did happen, when this moment like this has happened before, it aligned almost perfectly, timing wise. The time that we were in the market, the time in the year that which we were in, the percentage pullbacks, all aligned the same way. Let me show you. So, what are we going to be talking about today? What we're going to talk about is what happened in 2019. Okay. And the craziest thing about this, guys, this was literally just the last cycle. This was the last cycle. Because a lot of people just in their brains, crypto has been this, right? This has been crypto for the last few years. This is all they can think about. This has been crypto. But they tend to forget that crypto is not new. Crypto has been here before. And all we need to do is literally look just a little bit past this to see that this has happened before. This has happened before, guys. Now, were the instances different? Were the circumstances different? Sure. Were there different things about what happened back in 2019 that caused it? Yes. And I'm not saying that the same exact events caused the same movement, but what I am saying, the same type of circumstances and the same feelings that we all feel, which is fear and greed and things like that, brewed up to create a move that felt the same exact as this one that eventually led to a bull market. Look at it. I'll show you here. So what happened back in 2019? Okay. We had the top of the bull market back in 2018 right here. Bam. Now, what ends up happening from there is we go in this nasty ass bear market very, very fast. It wasn't a slow burn like we saw right here, right? This was a slow burn, just slowly for over a year. No, this was a quick one. I remember this. I wasn't super active in crypto, but I was around. and this shit sucked. I remember thinking that this was the bottom right here and being like, okay, cool. Like maybe we're going to start to see a reversal. And the next thing you know, Bitcoin just absolutely gets way worse, right? Now, from there, of course, we put in bottoming out structure. We put in this little cup and handle pattern, the most notorious cup and handle pattern in Bitcoin's history. And then we use that to break back towards the upside, starting to make some absolutely massive gains. Now, what we saw from that given point was that crypto ran way too fast. Way too fast. And I want you to hear the words that I'm saying right now because they're going to sound similar in about 5 minutes. Listen, we made the bottom. Crypto ran way too fast. No major pullbacks, no consolidation, nothing. We saw the weekly RSI, which is extremely important, guys, go from oversold straight up to overbought incredibly fast. And what happened as a result of that was that this market started putting in bearish divergence, start slowly cooking sideways, and then we saw this pullback. Now, some of you may say, well, this right here was the virus crash, right? Let's ignore it then. Let's ignore it. Let's pretend like this never happened. Let's say this is what happened. Okay, this is from now on, ignore this. This is what happened in 2019. Okay, let's look at some percentages. What you can see here is that Bitcoin put a high at around roughly 13,750. From there, it put in this bottom right here at about 52% pull to the downside. Now, in the time frame in which this happened, which was May, June, July, okay, May, June, July were some of the worst months. And sure, it got worse, right? We had like September. We had September right here. It's actually pretty worse. So let's just go from May to September. Let's just make it easy. May to September, things got ugly. We pulled back 52% for Bitcoin. Now, what I want you to think about, what were some of the top 10s back then? Stellar, Ripple, EOS, Tron. Let's just look at those, okay? Let's look at those and let's see what happened. Let's see what happened. Because everyone's making up this narrative, right? That altcoins have never been in a bull market and then crashed at 70% and 80% and then continued upwards. That's the narrative that everyone's pushing for some fucking reason. Let's just see. Okay. Let's go down here. XRP. No, XLM. Okay. 2019, May to September. Let's see what happens. 2019, May. Let's just go to September. Again, let's ignore the COVID crash. Oh, I hate saying that word on here. Hopefully they don't cause any problems. What happened here? Okay. Let's go to here because realistically, this was the crash. This was the pump. This was the crash. Let's average it out right here. Just to give something. What happened? A 70% crash for one of the top 10 cryptos. Okay. Tron. And the craziest part is Bitcoin was rallying. None of your major top 10 cryptos were super rallying. They kind of were, right? They were making good gains, but they weren't super rallying, right? None of them were really setting an all-time highs, just like we're seeing right now. But what happens here? Okay, let's go see. Let's go May all the way down. Boom. Let's see. What's this? 72% crash. Let's go to EOS. Here we go. Boom. Peak. Trough. 75%. XRP. Do I need to call this one out? This one was crashing way before. But, I mean, if you want to look at it, 91% crash. Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to you. Occasional transients. Like this video if you're on here, guys. Let's get to 15 likes. I don't know where we're at because I can't see it. But let's get to 15 likes. But you get the point. Altcoins got smoked. Smoked in 2019. And many people consider this the beginning of the bull market. If I go look back at 2019 from a technical perspective, I would very, very obviously say the bull market started right here. And you would too. People can try to make up these narratives as they want, but you would too. This was the bull market, obviously, right? This was the end of the bull market. This was the bear market. But during this bull market, we saw Bitcoin crash 50 to 60%. And we saw major top 10 altcoins crashing 70 to 90%. What happened after that? A whole bunch of things. We obviously saw stimulus. We saw lockdown. We saw the biggest printing of money that we've ever seen before. And we went into the biggest bull run that we probably will ever see. I'm not quite sure, especially now, that we will ever see a run just quite like 2021. And I'm okay with that because that was too damn much. Okay? It's too much. So the people who are going to say that this has never happened before are blatantly lying. Now, some of them are going to say, well, it was a different time. It was a different time, right? The reason we were crashing was different. The way we got out of the crash was different. Let's just compare the two, okay? Remember those words I told you whenever I was describing what happened here. We put in a bottom. bullish structure at the bottom. Bullish structure at the bottom. We immediately started making a run too far, too fast. We immediately started making a run too far, too fast. Your weekly RSI got overextended without really seeing any type of rejections. Your RSI gets overextended without seeing any type of major rejections. We start putting in bearish divergence. Start putting in bearish divergence right here, right here. And then we start to see this weekly RSI pulling back very fast towards some of these lower 50% thresholds. Very fast towards the lower 50% thresholds. I don't care what the situation is. I don't care what the circumstance is. If you can't see that what we are doing right now is a more drawn out and extended version of what we saw in 2019, you are blind, because it's happened before. This was a little faster. This was a little slower, but at its core, the structure remains the same. It was incredibly, incredibly similar. The timing from May to September. When did this start? May. Where are we about to go into? September. When did we start to see some of the different correct catalysts enter in the market that could start to reverse this thing? Because realistically, guys, the market started reversing. Back here, if we didn't see this major crash from the virus, you can see the bottoming out structure was forming. Maybe it'll come down a little bit more, but it was bottoming because the catalysts that were being injected in October and November were putting enough buying pressure to seemingly start to push it in the upwards direction. When are the catalysts supposed to start for us? October and November. Now, does that mean that we are going to immediately see this market pump in October and November? No, because again, it's a more drawn out version of what we've seen historically. This could take into January. But at the end of the day, the catalysts could start October, November. Like what? Interest rates being reduced. Interest rates being reduced has historically always caused risk on assets to climb in price. Simple as that. Not immediately, though. Oftentimes, interest rates start dropping. The market crashes one last time. Then we see the effects of those interest rates drop actually go into the economy. And then we start to see risk on asset prices grow. Crypto is a risk on asset. Presidential election is in November. If Kamala Harris wins, hypothetically, it seems as if she is trying to make an effort to get a little bit closer to the crypto community. It won't be the worst thing on earth. And people historically like when the same type of presidential candidate is in office because there's no uncertainty. That's just the truth of the matter. Look at the performance of the stock market in the moments in which the same candidate is elected versus a new candidate. New candidates always bring a little uncertainty, and that always causes markets to move weird. Simple as that. So it wouldn't be the worst thing. It wouldn't be as bullish, but I don't think it would be the end of crypto. I don't think crypto is going to go to $10,000 or Bitcoin's going to go to $10,000 because Kamala Harris gets elected. I don't think that's the case. But if Trump gets elected, we might see this thing blow off the freaking roof. We might just see Bitcoin take off, right? So think about the fact that we saw a crash in May to September, catalyst in October and November, then one of the craziest bull runs we've ever seen. Simple as that. Let's just leave it there. Crash in September, major catalyst October, November, could still lead to one of the biggest bull runs we've ever seen. Now, people are going to say, well, the times are different, right? Because we didn't see, like back here, we had stimulus. And I agree. I do agree with that. I don't think we are going to see a run as crazy as the one we saw in 2021. I just don't. We might. I just don't think we will. I'm not quite sure that it can get that crazy this soon again. You got to think of what that caused. This crazy shit that we saw, what it took to cause this has literally crippled the United States and the world economy since then. It would take a lot to do that again. But you would be a fool to ignore the fact that interest rates reducing and hopefully that causing money to be a little cheaper, inflation hopefully remaining somewhat stable, and us starting to see an economy in which things are starting to cost less at a grand scheme and a micro scheme. If you don't think people having more money and us moving into hopefully a better time in the economy once the recession fears and all this other shit that people don't understand is over, if you don't think that that can be one of the stimuluses to cause a massive bull run, you are not paying close enough attention. You're just not paying close enough attention. And so where I'm at right now is that I think people are blatantly lying or negligent to some degree, in which they are saying that we have never seen this before, that the market's never pulled back like this before because it sounds good, right? It sounds scary. Oh, this has never happened before in the crypto market. Everything's crazy. It's all over. And trust me, I'm not shy to clickbait shit. I'm not shy to be exaggerative about things. Look at the fucking title of the video right now. Look at the thumbnail. I understand that that's just how you compete in this space. But there's a difference between competing and there's a difference between lying. And people coming out here and lying and saying this has never happened before are leading you astray. And they're leading you to a place which will likely cause you to sell your crypto when, in my opinion, this is one of the best times in history that you could be buying. Not saying that it's immediately going to go up, not saying this is going to immediately reverse, but I am saying that when we look back on this in 10 years, I am willing to guarantee that a purchase right now, to some degree, would have turned out to be a good time to fucking buy. Because people always want to live by this whole mantra and everything, a mantra. Oh, buy when others are fearful, and buy when there's blood in the streets, and there's blood in the streets, and all you're going to do, you spending all your time leaving hate comments. Now's the time. Guys, if you're enjoying this content, like this video so more people can see it. This is a brand new channel. It'll help out a ton. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here, because we're going to be doing this often, 5, 6, 7 times a week, doing live streams, doing videos, much more, covering the broad market, covering all these things. Now, knowing that they're lying, okay, having an understanding that they're lying, let's just continue to build on what we've been talking about. Let's dive into some of the metrics and let's see how things have changed since last night in terms of liquidations, in terms of the RSI, all of these things. Now, what I will tell you is that I have been buying, okay? I did more buying just this morning. And I want you to understand some of these buys that I'm doing are negative. I understand that. I don't care. I hope you understand that. You might care. I don't care. I don't care if I buy Bitcoin and it goes down 5%. It makes no difference to me. Because remember, I am pursuing long-term growth. Short-term losses don't worry me. Simple as that. Let's get into it. I did some purchases this morning. Now, this is a server called the Crypto Vault. You can check it out down below. We're still going through a rebranding right now. We wanted to just change it up a bit and make it even better. So if you want to wait, I would probably wait a little while, but feel free, whatever. But as you can see, I did a large dollar cost average on Bitcoin, large dollar cost average on ETH, medium on Solana, medium on Jasmy, medium on BNB, and a large one on Render. So I'm buying. I'm not bullshitting. I'm buying. I bought some today. I bought some yesterday. I'm just buying. I bought Bitcoin at 58K. No regrets. Don't care. And you see, that was a medium-sized purchase because I knew things could still get ugly from here. Now I'm going big. And you know what happens if it goes lower? I'm going even more big. That's my game plan, right? But the reason I'm doing this is because of what we are seeing on the metrics. The metrics are just showing me that where we are right now, historically, is a good time to buy. And there's no arguing that. Let's talk about some of the new ones that we have, okay? So we went over this last night, but things are changing like crazy. Crypto Fear and Greed Index is still sat at a 26. Now, I think this does update soon. It doesn't consistently update all the time. I need to go look and see what time it updates because I just started using the one on CoinGlass. But overall, guys, I mean, this is nuts. This is the third day in a row that we've spent in fear. And remember, we've only spent 24 days here in the last year. Historically, buying in fear is a good time to buy. There's no arguing that, okay? On top of that, RSI heat map. What we can see, let's go out to the daily. Yeah, let's go to the daily right now. Guys, the average daily RSI is now at a 24.45. I don't think you understand how crazy that is. We have not seen the daily average RSI hit this level, right? This low of levels more than 15 times, 20 times in the last 8 years. That's a crazy stat. The fact that this is one of the most fearful moments that we have seen in history is insane because it's not that fucking scary. It's not like crypto's being threatened. It's not like people are saying that crypto is going to be banned in the US and then Japan and then China and all these other places. That's not what it's saying. People are just worried that the world might go into a recession when, quite fucking frankly, the average working man's been feeling like it's been a recession for years. It's been fucking years that it sucked. So if you think the economy is just magically going to get worse now, you know what I'm saying? Think about how overreactionary this feels. Think about how crazy the reactions and the emotions we're feeling right now are to this shit. When what we've been through. After FTX, one of the biggest, that was one of the most scary moments I've ever experienced in crypto. When one of the biggest exchanges turns out to be a fraud, I'm like, that's not good. And this is something similar? Really? I don't see it. We're down here. Let's see. What are some other things we can go through? Let's go over some liquidations. Let's see what's happening here. Liquidation. Let's go through liquidation history and let's take a look at what's happened recently. Now, this is on everything. And let's just go to the last few months. Guys, start leaving some questions down below because I am going to wrap up the stream with a Q&A in about 3-4 minutes, okay? We just saw a crazy amount of bullish liquidations, okay? Longs absolutely wiped. $718 million of longs, $142 million worth of shorts liquidated just in the last 24 hours. Now, yes, the longs being liquidated Being the long, like the longs being liquidated is bad, right? That's expected. But I'm actually noticing something else. This is a good sign. Look what's happening with the shorts. Look what's happening with the shorts. You see how the market's crashing, but shorts are being liquidated? And you might wonder, how the fuck is that happening? How does that make any sense? Because the last time we saw shorts getting liquidated this much was when the market was pumping, which makes sense, right? The market pumps and shorts get liquidated. So you might be wondering, how in the world are shorts being liquidated now? You want to know why? People are getting greedy. People are getting real greedy. They're shorting heavily. They're shorting heavily to the downside. And you know what happens when people short heavily to the downside? They get liquidated easy. Think about these tiny little bounces that have happened for Bitcoin recently. Tiny little things, right? Nothing even substantial. Let's go out here. Let's go to Bitcoin. And let's go to the 1 minute charts. These tiny little bounces. This, and these little ones. These little ass bounces have been enough to liquidate $170 million. The only way for that to happen is for people to get too overconfident. They're too overconfident and they're shorting and they're shorting and they're shorting. And you know what's going to happen? At some point, this bitch is going to rip to the upside hard and liquidate $500 million worth of shorts. That's the track we're on right now. And if you don't believe me, look at the liquidation map. 30 days. Look at the amount of liquidations that will happen if this market moves upwards. If this market moves up to $56,000, we will see billions of dollars liquidated. If it gets up to $54,000, $400 million. If it gets up to 54 or 50, high 53s, 54,000, 300, 200 million. There are hundreds of millions of dollars that will be liquidated if this market moves upwards. And look how little liquidations there are left to the downside. Sure, there's a couple hundred million. There's a couple hundred million, don't get me wrong. But the amount of liquidations that'll happen if this market moves up, anything above this red line means that there's a liquidation at that price level, right? X-axis is price. That's nuts. I have not seen it weighted like this in a very long time. And I do know this market chases liquidations. The direction in which the most liquidations will happen is, in general, the direction in which the market will go over an extended period of time. If you're short, be careful. Be careful. Because in this market, nobody wins. As we saw there, no one wins. Longs and shorts get destroyed in this market. That's why I'm not leverage trading. I'm not. I will not. I quite simply won't. Because longs and shorts will get destroyed here. And shorts, the time is going to come. I mark my fucking words. At some point, we're going to see the shorts get smashed. Even by just a bounce. If this is an ABC correction, right? ABC correction. On that B, people are going to get, dude, they're going to get mocked. Watch. When? I don't know. There's really no way of knowing. But just watch. Okay. So overall, the primary focus of the stream was just to let you guys know. People are lying to you. We have seen something like this before. And the craziest shit, we saw this in the last cycle. It's not like this, like if it was 2013, I'd understand, right? Because people may say, well, that was just so long ago, times are different. We saw something like this in the last bull market. The last one. Where's the disconnect? We saw something just like this. The structure was the same. The significance of the catalysts were the same. The time in the year and the time of the market and the size of the pullbacks, all similar. So if people are trying to lie to you to get your clicks, don't fall for it, please. Don't fall for it. Clickbait, again, is one thing. Lies are a whole nother thing. Don't fall for it. Stick to your game plan and stick to your strategy, and that's what I'm doing. And my strategy is I'm buying, because the more confident these shorters get, the worse it's going to be for them soon. That's where I'm at. The bull market continues. That's what I believe. We saw it in the last cycle. I think we're going to see it again here. It's just going to take some time. You need to get some thick skin. If you're crying over this and worried about this, you're either too exposed or your skin's too thin. And I don't mean that in a bad way. And I don't want to make fun of you here, right? I'm not throwing tomatoes at you. But what I want you to understand is that you're too exposed to this market, meaning you have too much money in. So when the market bounces, take some profit and diversify better. And if you're not overly exposed, but you're just freaking out about this, you got to thicken up a little bit. You got to thicken that skin a little, because it gets worse than this. Somebody said it earlier. Mondo and me said it earlier. It gets way worse than this. I've been there. We've been there. A lot of us have been there. Jim Jarvis, he been here for 3-4 years. He been there with me. We've been through some bullshit. gets way worse than this. So just take it up a little bit, okay? So with that said, guys, that's about it for this morning's live stream. Now, I do have a video coming out soon that is going to go over whale activity. We're going to take a look at what the whales are doing because they're lizard people and they control these markets. So it's good to see. So check in on that in a couple hours, maybe around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, somewhere around there. I want to give this stream some time to cook in the algorithm. Speaking of the algorithm, guys, please like the stream. It helps me out so much. If you could subscribe to the channel, that would be absolutely amazing. It helps so much with the growth. I have a goal of getting 1,000 subscribers by October. It's going to be hard to accomplish, but I have faith that you guys really like the content. And I hope I'm providing you value and you'll just subscribe if you do enjoy it. But with that said, overall, everyone, that is going to be about it for today's live stream. Of course, I hope you guys did enjoy. Check out my main channel in a couple hours as well, as I'm going to post some Solana vids, Bitcoin vids, and individual crypto vids. So feel free to go check that out over there. And I can't wait to see you all soon. Peace out, everybody.